my hair. It's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's so funny. Welcome to Live with Jessica. It is Thursday, April the 18th. I hope you guys survived tax day. And I am super excited to do this Facebook Live with you. I'm really fired up because I just got off of a call with a new Get Set Coaching Academy member who I'm just so excited to support. And there's a whole really cool thing I could share about that call, but I won't. I digress. But today's topic is what to do when you're disgusted by something in your life, just like the person who just signed up for the Get Set Coaching Academy, who's disgusted by a certain aspect of her life and is ready to change it. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you're on live, please jump on and say hi. Do some little emojis. I can't really see them when I'm streaming from Zoom because I'm recording these, and that's why I stream from Zoom. So I'm going to see if I can go on to Facebook and see who's on here. So when you get on, say hi, share with me where you are tuning in from, and are you disgusted by something in your life right now, right? Whether that is your fitness, whether it is your, your health, your career. Hi, Anna. Hi, Kelsey, Daniela. Whoop, whoop. Whether that is like your financial situation. If there's something you're disgusted by and you're not afraid to share it, please type it in the comments because it's super helpful. Oh, you're tuning in from Vancouver, British Columbia. What's so cool is I was just a couple of days ago, my family and I were in Vancouver, Washington. There's a Vancouver over here, so that's super cool. Okay, Anna, financial situation. A lot of people are disgusted by that, right, in their life. Not everybody. And I want to make a distinction here. You could be in a situation where you don't have a lot of money coming in or where you feel limited, but you're not disgusted by it because you're not in this feeling of fear, scarcity, lack. I can never get my curls to go. I just started wearing my hair curly again. So it doesn't mean that because you don't have as much money as you want that you're disgusted. So I just want to make it clear, make sure that it's something that you identify that you are like, I am so sick of this. I'm at the end of my rope with this. I don't want this in my life anymore. I'm so disgusted by it. That's what we're talking about. So is there an area of your life that you are just completely disgusted by, not just frustrated with, but you are at your wit's end? If you are, then this is what we're talking about, okay? And I'll give you an example. At a certain point in my life, I was in my 20s still, right? I think I was 23, something like that. I was smoking cigarettes. Everybody in my life smoked, right? My family members, my friends, my boyfriend. I have to shift my leg, you guys. I'm just real. And so that's what I did too, right? But I got to a point where I was like, why am I doing this? I hate smoking. I hate the way I smell. I hate the way, I just hate the way it looks. For me, I hated it. I was so disgusted by it. And I was working out and everything, and I was out of breath. So I would do my aerobics and all of that. And then I would be smoking cigarettes with my friends. And I'm like, oh, I'm so over this. I'm so disgusted. Now, because I was so disgusted by it, instead of staying in, I'm disgusted by this and not making a change, what opened up for me was okay, what would be the opposite of me being a smoker? How would that look? How would that feel? And I started to really envision myself my age now, right? So this was in my 20s, 23, 24. And I started envisioning myself, well, what about in 20 years when I'm in my 40s I want to look healthy. I don't want to have like all these smoker lines. I want to have clean skin, not, you know, I was looking at people and comparing, like, that's how I'll look if I keep smoking. Like, I'm just being real. So it sounds very superficial, but it was true for me. I'm going to look like that. I'm going to be dependent on a cigarette. I was looking at my grandfather, who was 80 years old, and, you know, 10 years earlier had had his leg amputated because of the poor circulation. So I tapped into what I was disgusted by, and I decided to change it. And the way I decided to change it was by envisioning, well, what would it be like if I weren't a smoker? What would it be like if I was like super healthy? Because that was different for me. Everybody in my life was a smoker, everybody except for my grandmother. But like, we lived in a house where everybody was smoking, and in the cars, and right, you guys get it, right? You get what I'm saying. So I had to like envision something that I didn't see really anywhere else in my community. And so I would have been the only one of my friends that I hung out with on a regular basis who wasn't smoking. My boyfriend was, my mom, like everybody. So I started to envision what that was like for me, right? And those of you who are with me in Portland a couple weekends ago at the event, you know how important it is to not just see the vision of what you want or to talk about it with words, but to actually feel it, right? You've got to feel what it feels like. So I started like feeling myself breathing really clear. I started envisioning myself, like I started feeling myself like not have the dependence of like picking up, having a cigarette in my hand, being free, like what that meant to like look like, you know, to be the only person in my group who wasn't smoking. I started feeling like, oh yeah, people are going to tease me. People are going to do this, that, and the other. And I started to feel how powerful it was to still be in my power, right? And so here's what I want you to know about when something is in your life that you're completely disgusted by. That is not an excuse to go into victim mode, to go into blame and anger. You can have those feelings, but staying in them just creates more of it. So what we know about the law of attraction is you only know what you want in life by experiencing what you don't want. And so take that contrast, meaning the opposite of what you want, take that contrast and decide what you do want, right? So create the opposite. So if you are in a job right now that you are so disgusted by and you're sick of it and you're ready for something different, right? Like that means that the next step for you is to start taking action towards what it is you want. Don't get stuck in the disgust. You're just going to create more of it, right? But here's what's important for you to know. You're typically not going to change something unless you really are disgusted by it. So other people in my life were smokers and they loved it. They weren't disgusted by it. So if they decided to stop smoking, like a lot of people do, simply because, you know, it's the right thing to do, their doctor told them, you know, their husband or kids want them to quit. If they do it for those reasons, not because they are so disgusted by it and are like at rock bottom, like turned off, want to change, then it's not likely to happen. How many people do you know who have quit smoking and go back, right? They're not disgusted by it. They don't really want to change it, right? They get caught up in I should. Same thing with people like with health and fitness. Like maybe you like look in the mirror and you're like, God, I really should lose some weight. Anytime you say I should do something or I've got to go to the gym, believe me, you ain't going to do it. You ain't going to do it for long because that's like resistance language. Like most of us don't want to do what we feel like we have to do. Like we have this inbred rebellion in us, right? Rebel. And so those of my friends who were smoking, who loved it, it wasn't enough of a catalyst for them to make a change. But for me, it was, and I've never smoked again, right? I just stopped. Now, there was a point in my life where I was disgusted by my fitness level or lack of it, right? Like I had gotten to a certain weight. I was in a certain lifestyle that really I got disgusted by, staying out late. You know, I worked in the restaurant business. We were all working late, drinking a lot, eating a bunch of junk, you know, late at night. And it showed big time, right? And I got to a point where I was so disgusted, like just disgusted by how I felt and looked, that I made the huge change in my health and fitness and was committed to it. So what I'm trying to get to you, and let me know if this is landing with you, please let me know in the comments. The point I'm making here is, when you are disgusted by something in your life, that is your wake up call. Oh, this is the contrast that I've manifested so that I can actually create what it is I truly desire. And you desire the opposite of whatever it is you're disgusted by. So for me, being disgusted by smoking, by, you know, poor eating, by being, you know, gaining weight, being, you know, for me, I wasn't obese, but I was a good 20 pounds overweight. For a short person, that's a good amount of weight. So the point is, those pieces, those pockets of feeling disgusted, I now know when I look back, whoa, that was the catalyst to me moving into very meaningful work in my life, which for 15 years, close to 15 years, was all around health and fitness. I got to make those changes in my life and then go on and inspire others and change thousands of people's lives through the work that I did in health and fitness, and become now like an athlete and turning pro this year, all of that, right? Which also led me into training and coaching people all around their mindset, and coaching coaches and leaders, and, you know, all of the work that I've been doing, it came out of the disgust that I had in my life. And those are just two little examples. I was also disgusted by like the environments that I was living in. And I knew that I didn't want to grow up and be living in poverty. I didn't want to be surrounded by violence and scarcity. I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want more broken relationships, right? And so I knew, because of that disgust, what I was disgusted by, I got to start looking at, well, what's the opposite of this? And that gave me insight into who I was really meant to be. That gave me insight into who I was really meant to be. Because if you're desiring something different, and believe me, if you're disgusted by something, it's because you're desiring something different, the opposite of that. But so many people get stuck in the disgust and they say, oh, this is just the way it is. Well, I should be lucky to have a job. Or, you know, everybody else is around me like this too, so what's the big deal? Or, oh, that's going to be too much work. So even though you're disgusted by something, instead of doing something different about it, you decide to stay in it because it's more comfortable, right? Because like leaving a job and trying to do something else is a risk. And so instead of risking quote unquote failure, or it not working out, or giving up on the relationship that's not working, or the job that's making you feel dead inside, instead of giving up on those things to actually have the opportunity for something greater, we stay stuck in it. It's like imprisonment, right? And so my point is, embrace whatever you're disgusted by. It's a gift, because it's like a flashing red light. Like, you're disgusted by this for a reason. Other people are going through what, or are experiencing what you're experiencing, and they may not be disgusted by it. That's how you know that it's not meant for you. Whatever it is you're dealing with right now in your relationship, in your fitness level, in your health, in your career, your money situation, if it's driving you crazy, you are so disgusted by it, it's because it's time for you to take action to create the opposite of that in your life. I look back now on all of the things that I was so like disgusted by in my life, like just kind of looking around being like, how did I get born into this? This isn't where I'm supposed to be. And every single time there was something I was really disgusted by in my life, the opposite of that is who I was truly meant to be. And it's like, when that happens in my life now, it's such a blessing because I'm like, I get it. You're giving me the signal that I get to create something different. It's what happened to me in my career when I was still an employee and I was staying at this job because they kept paying me good money. And I hated the job. And I was like disgusted by the boss, the whole thing. And finally I got it because something else big happened, my mom dying, right? That'll wake you up. Not everybody, but when you're looking for transformation and you're looking to constantly grow and up level your life, you will get those moments. And I looked at it and I said, I hadn't gotten to the point where I was completely disgusted by that job yet. But as soon as that happened, it was like a little flash of, any longer, you're going to be completely disgusted. So now I no longer wait until I'm like at the bottom of the barrel. I get the signals quicker now. And so I was like, okay, I now know that this kind of job is not for me. And that really the opposite of this is what I want. And for me in that situation, the opposite became being an entrepreneur, being my own boss. I hated having a boss. Not everybody does. Not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur and take on the risk of generating their own income. Some people want to be taken care of or have that handled for them, and that's great too. Whatever is happening in your life right now, whatever situation you are in, relationship, whatever it has to do with money, fitness, health, anything, if it is creating absolute disgust, you hate this, you're maybe embarrassed by it, you're just so frustrated and disgusted and overwhelmed with it, then that means it's time for you to make a change. That means it's time for you to make a change. And so you get to decide, like, how long am I going to sit in this before I do something different? Right? Self-acceptance does not mean that you're not disgusted by a certain situation, right? So you can accept it. You can accept, like you do get to accept, wow, I'm really disgusted by this and I have the power to change it. Only I can change it. And so you get to decide always. We always have a decision. So my stand in life and in my business and my company and what I teach to people and empower people with is personal responsibility, right? Personal responsibility. No one can be responsible for your pain, pleasure, growth, lack of growth, success, lack of success. No one is responsible for that but you. It's not your boss's fault. It's not your husband's, your children's, your parents. It's not, if you have a coach, it's not your coach's problem or fault either. I do not put my success or my failures on my coaches. My coaches provide me the resources and the support, and it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. And so I want to empower you right now. Take personal responsibility for your life. If there's something you're disgusted by and you just keep staying in it, then there's something you're getting out of it, right, that you like. Sometimes we get comfortable with being in frustration and disgust because it's something that we relate to, and often people can feel bad for us, right? And so that gives us a sense of comfort. But if you're ready to make a change, if you're ready to create something different in your life, if you're sick of being in the same old situation and not doing anything about it, then this is your invitation to create change. If you currently are somebody who is disgusted by something in your life and you want support in changing it, I threw my schedule link in there. Book a call with me. Like, I've been opening up my calendar since I've come back from the 2-day event I did a couple of weeks ago, because I'm just so inspired to help people cut through the bullshit right away, right now, and make a decision and take action, right? Law of attraction. Life is right now, right? If your transformation isn't happening right now, it's not happening. It's not happening. How long are you going to put it off? So for those of you who are ready to take action and personal responsibility in your life and turn your disgust into some kind of big breakthrough and something amazing on the other side. Like everything that I've created in my life now has come out of what I was completely disgusted by before. Career, lack of money, shitty relationships, lifestyle and areas that I lived in that I hated. Not all of that is completely the opposite now. I'm abundant in every other area of my life now because I took that disgust as a sign and I created something different. So if that's what you want to do and you want some support and accountability and what are the next steps for you, grab a spot on my calendar today or Saturday and let's move you into action. Okay, guys, post any questions you have under here and I'll pop back in and answer them for you. Have a beautiful rest of the day and I'll see you on Monday for Manifesting Minute.